The sun is shining and the weather is sweet. We are going to West Indies for the Super 8s. The American leg of this tournament is now over, and we have the groups, we have the Super 8 teams, and we know the matches, we know the venue. We are going to talk all about it in today's preview for the Super 8, plus a little bit of recap of what happened in the group stage. So thank you guys for joining in, and let's talk about the American leg, American plus West Indies leg of this tournament. Now, when this tournament started, we didn't expect some big names to, flop or get eliminated in the first round itself. But we have three big names actually. Sri Lanka, who has been a previous champion of 2014. We have Pakistan, who won the T20 World Cup in 2009, and New Zealand is one of the finalists 2021 and the semi-finalists last year. All three teams have been eliminated. So what happened? We are going to introspect a little bit about what happened with these three teams. But starting this show, I want to talk about the format of this T20 World Cup. Now, there was some pre-seeding, like every group had a seeding, and I've explained this before also. So the Super 8 venues were already known for each of the teams, irrespective of where they finished. So Mitchell Stark has today spoken about it that these pre-seedings actually make the tournament more boring because there are still 3 days of Super 8. The first stage left, and we already know the order of the teams, the opponents of the teams, the venues of the teams. So, in practicality, it means that all the remaining matches are going to be dead rubber matches. So, that is a bit disappointing because it steals the thrill of the first round because we already know what team is going to play what team, and that's because there were some precedings like India were A1, Pakistan were A2. So now instead USA has taken that position of A2. Afghanistan has actually taken the position of New Zealand, which was C1. West Indies were C2. So they already know what will be their group composition, and they already know the venues they are going to play at. Now, recapping this American leg, we came from IPL to this tournament. IPL was a big lead up to this tournament, and we saw totally contrasting kind of games here. In IPL, we were seeing 250 plus scored on multiple occasions. In fact, we saw a record chase of 262 one time, and now we are suddenly seeing that today Bangladesh defended a total of 106. So 106 was defended today by Bangladesh. And, that is a bit surprising as a T20 follower. We expect 106 will be scored in 12, 13 overs, will be chased down easily, but it didn't happen so. So, the American leg was tricky. It made cricketing more exciting, I would say. It gave much more to the bowlers. Players like Norkia are ready to build their homes in New York now just so that they can enjoy these conditions forever. They would like the home base of South African cricket team to be shifted to New York because you saw so many forfeits. There were more than 10 forfeits, 4 wicket hauls in the tournament. There were a couple of 5 wicket hauls. Today we saw Tanzim bowling 2 back-to-back maidens. Like, can you believe that? 2 back-to-back maidens. And we saw 2 spells of 4 over 7 runs, 4 wickets. That's just amazing and mind-boggling to say the least. And let's get into it, guys. We'll talk about the teams eliminated. First, obviously, we said there are going to be some dead rubbers that is played. New Zealand is currently playing Papua New Guinea. And New Zealand is one of the first teams that I want to discuss. Their elimination comes as a big shock because of their pace battery of Trent Bolt, Tim Southee, Lockie Ferguson. All have played some big tournaments. They have delivered time and time again. But what I felt was their batting was too much dependent on 2 key players. That was Finn Allen and Glenn Phillips. The rest of the team was more of the anchors and out of form batsmen. You had someone like Rachin Ravindra out of form. Devon Conway was coming off from an injury. He was out of form. Kane Williamson has had no cricket. Daryl Mitchell played a lot for CSK, but I felt he always was an anchor, and so was Kane Williamson. And in T20 cricket, you don't need more than one or two anchors. But unfortunately, this team had too many anchors. I felt their batting was dependent on two or three key hitters, and it was not possible for them to always fire. And what happened versus Afghanistan, which was basically a decider game for them. So in this group, I think every team had a chance. Like the top three teams had a chance: Afghanistan, West Indies, and New Zealand. All three had a chance. Similarly, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and South Africa. So these were the tough groups comparatively. The most shocking is the Pakistan elimination, because we didn't actually expect USA to qualify further. But in this group of Afghanistan, West Indies, and New Zealand, we kind of knew that Afghanistan can upset New Zealand or West Indies, and they have done it. They played according to their strengths. They didn't reach for the stars. They just tried to reach for the moon. Uh, they played very slowly in the initial stages, conserving their wickets, preserving their wickets, and just scored a par total, which they knew their spin bowlers will be able to defend. So that was very clever from Afghanistan. And that was the main difference, how they tackled the New Zealand attack. They scored just 55 runs in the first 10 overs. Then they had some hitters who took them to 160, and they were able to defend 160 by a big margin. And that game itself sealed the fate for New Zealand. And of course, they could have beaten West Indies, but I always knew West Indies were going to be too good for New Zealand. Even in that game, Sharfin Rutherford played an unbelievable knock, but still New Zealand were always dependent on those two big hitters, and the rest of the batting relied on the openers, the anchors. Even in a chase of 136, you could say the anchors can actually play a big part, but both the anchors failed to. I think Kane Williamson made 10 of 13 or something, and the bowling and their captaincy. I just want to take a minute about that. I saw that all the bowlers were finishing their overs too early. I mean, Kane Williamson was simply gambling on the frontline bowlers to finish the games for them. And the 19th over in both these games was bowled by Daryl Mitchell, which I could not understand. He's not a proper all-rounder or a proper bowler. You could have given it to anyone else, but they gave it to Daryl Mitchell. A spinner probably would have been better option than Daryl Mitchell. In both these 19th over, he conceded 19 and 16. So, that momentum was wrestled away from New Zealand in those 19th over. And both West Indies and Afghanistan made full use of it, and they were able to defend the total. New Zealand, unfortunately, is knocked out. Coming to Pakistan, that's the most shocking elimination. Gary Kirsten has made a statement today that Pakistan did not play as a team. There were divisions in the team. And we've been hearing this lot from Pakistan news channels, Pakistan television, that not everyone is supporting Babar Azam, who had, in fact, given up the captaincy after the ODI World Cup, after Pakistan's flop show at the ODI World Cup. But Shaheen was removed as a captain, and PCB reinstated Babar as the captain again just 2 months before the World Cup. Their preparation was not ideal. They don't play the IPL. Plus, they had series with weakened teams like second string sides of New Zealand. Even they lost a series to Ireland, which was not full strength. They, I think, leveled the series. They didn't lose the series, but they lost few games there. They lost the series to England. And unfortunately, morning shows the day, and Pakistan lost to US. I mean, that has to be the greatest upset ever in the history of T20 World Cup. Just what happened in Dallas still, gives me goosebumps, guys, to imagine what happened there. First of all, that game should have never gone to super over. And from both ends, I mean, from US and Pakistan as well. But Pakistan came back very well to drag it to super over. But in super over, you expect the big sides to come out on top. And unfortunately, both, I think Mohammad Amir and Rizwan as a keeper, both totally succumbed to the pressure of super over, because there was some schoolboy like throwing and bowling at the super over, and you know just giving 19 runs with only 1 4 scored and no sixes scored. That's unimaginable, and Pakistan had to pay for that. And no matter what they did after that, there was an opportunity against India, but we always know that Pakistan, when it comes to those big matches, can succumb to pressure, and their insides can be turned outsides when they feel that pressure. And India was having that quality which probably Ireland didn't have to choke Pakistan. Otherwise, they could have also lost the Ireland game. And yeah, Babar and Rizwan. I mean, a lot of people are talking about Babar and Rizwan, whether these two should be playing together, with whether these two should be opening. Actually, Babar made a change. He went down to number three. Uh, he went down to number three position, and but I still ask this question: whether Babar and Rizwan deserve their place in this T20 lineup, both being anchors. Like we had a similar, assessment about New Zealand. Like Mitchell and Williamson, both are anchors, and so is Babar and Rizwan. Whether they need more attacking batsmen. I'm joined by Pratik now from Dallas. Pratik, I was just talking about Pakistan's elimination. That is a bit shocking because in the other groups, okay, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, two of the test playing nations have qualified. But in Pakistan's group, we saw USA beating Pakistan, greatest upset of this T20 World Cup. What do you feel that Pakistan lacked? I mean, uh, what went wrong with them?
Only two people, Babar and Rizwan. They should only play Test and ODIs. And I'm not even sure if Babar should play ODIs. He should only play Test matches. Rizwan, while in the ODI World Cup, also showed that he's a very good ODI player. He actually hit a couple of hundreds as well. But
Hmm.
these two should not be in the Test T20 side. Just like India finally identified KL Rahul is not the right fit for T20 games. So
Hmm.
Pakistan need to just make these two changes at the top order, get some explosive batters. And again, Usman Khan also, I don't know what kind of batter he is, but he was also not looking like a T20 material.
Yeah. Before that, Pratik, I also want to ask you a bit about New Zealand. What went wrong with New Zealand? What do you think was the main reason for New Zealand's elimination?
I think New Zealand was just shocked and surprised by Afghanistan's and West Indies rise again back in the cricket. Like
Hmm.
we knew this can be a tricky group, but we never expected New Zealand to be the one losing. We initially were predicting Afghanistan, West Indies might be the one getting kicked out from this group. So New
Hmm.
Zealand again, they came under so much pressure. I think they were just shocked by how good West Indies and Afghanistan played. West Indies actually were down and out. So the way they came back in that game, I think they were just on the back foot after first innings. They were thinking how this team from 34-5 made 150, and they could just never replicate the same.
Okay. Now going to the third big elimination, of course, Sri Lanka with their bowling attack, with their spin and pace bowling attack. Now I have a theory, Pratik, that the spin bowling attack had two of the best T20 bowlers. Both play the IPL regularly, Hasaranga
Yeah.
and of course Thikshana. But the fast bowling, there was Pathirana and there was another slinger, Nuvan Tushara. Now both of them have played in the IPL. But what I felt, because the venues they played at Dallas and New York, I think these venues needed someone who can use the bounce of the pitch, which a conventional bowling action. I would
Mhm.
have rather been happy to see Asita Fernando, or my favorite, the gas man Lahiru Kumara or Dushmanta Chamira kind of bowler on
Hmm.
these pitches, rather than having two slingers. And there were some weird captaincy calls by Hasaranga in one of the games. He promoted himself in both the games actually, versus Bangladesh and
Yeah.
versus South Africa. He promoted himself. He did not give in the Bangladesh game. He suddenly brought on Dasun Shanaka when some 18 were needed of the last 2 overs. So, what did you make of the Sri Lanka's campaign? Did their batting look out of depth against Bangladesh and South Africa? What do you think about that?
Yeah, very sad for Sri Lanka. Like they were finally had a good team in this tournament. We expected a lot from them. Not qualifying for semis like Devanshu Bhai, but we still expected some good results for Sri Lanka. I guess it's just the unpredictable nature of the batting that let them down.
Hmm.
And you have a good point about the bowling also. Like they could have made their fast bowlers more diverse and not similar kind of bowlers.
Yes,
But
and
uh,
and
but yeah,
also then
overall, like I'm surprised, man. We have had too many shocks. I was thinking that top eight teams of the world will be playing Super Eight. Maybe
yeah,
one will miss out, but three missed out. So that's actually a very good result for the World Cup.
and even they missed that firepower in the batting. I think someone like Kusal Pereira, Rajapaksa was one of the
Rajapaksa, yeah,
batters. Rajapaksa and even Charit Asalanka not firing versus those big teams. He fired today in an
yeah, but it was
inconsequential
too
game.
late.
Yeah. So I think that also didn't help them, Sri Lanka.
And another thing we have there is a lesson in this league stage is that you have to do well in each of the game. You have to bring your A game every time you play because rain might affect the results. And you can slightly argue that all these teams were affected by rain, except New Zealand, but Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they were
Hmm.
affected by rain in some ways.
Hmm.
So that's a very good message for the Super 8 teams. Like you have to do well in all of your games because you might get two chances instead of three
Yeah.
because of the rain.
True. And moving on, Pratik, I think some of the minnows performed excellently well. I just want to mention some of the players who impressed me. I made a list of some of the names that I think stood out really well. You can add to my list of course, but I think Oman had Mehran Khan who took that game versus Namibia to super over and also
Yeah.
bowled really well versus Australia before a catch of his bowling was dropped. They could have actually beaten Australia. So Oman and Mehran Khan were good. David Visa played his last tournament. He bowled superbly in that super over versus Oman in the same game, which Mehran Khan took it to super over. We had
Mm.
Mark Watt again showing what a class act he is for Scotland, bowling behind the
Yeah.
stumps. From Nepal, I thought Sompal Kami. He was impressive, hitting Norkia for a 105-meter six when his main job is as a bowler. We saw Anil Shah playing a brilliant knock versus South Africa. Actually, they were going to probably cause the biggest upset of this tournament, but they choked at the end. Sidebrand
Mm.
Engelbrecht has announced his retirement from cricket. He took some brilliant catches, and he was the man who was keeping Netherlands in the hunt in that match versus I'm not remembering. Was it South Africa? I think it was South Africa or Bangladesh. I think he
Mm.
actually kept them in the match. And Hayliger and Gordon from Canada's side, Berrington from Scotland. All these names have made an impact in this tournament, and I'm very happy about Minnows' performance. How the so-called minnows of this cricket world really came up and performed. Of course, I'm not taking names of US cricket team members because there is still some way to go for them. So I'm not taking
Yeah.
any names from US. But what do you think about the performance of the minnows, Pratik?
Yeah. Again, you have already mentioned the stars from Minnows, and you didn't mention again some Scotland players who batted so well, like Munsey and McMullen. Other than
Hmm.
Barrington, those are the other two names. These are guys in the top six of the run scorers this World Cup so far.
Hmm.
So these guys are also I wanted to mention them.
Yeah, and especially how USA has shocked the world.
Yeah, if
Uh,
we talk about USA, I want to add Aaron Jones. He scored 141 runs in this tournament. And obviously, Saurabh Netravalkar, everyone's favorite now.
yes,
He has
yes.
really attracted the audience by his all-rounder style of
I think a lot
batting.
of people will take inspiration from USA. I think Oman could have come close. We could have had Namibia coming close. We could have had Nepal coming close. If they
Yeah.
had Nepal, in fact, in both the games versus South Africa and Bangladesh, were in it today. Also, today morning, the match being played, they just had to chase 107. So
Man,
Nepal,
Nepal disappointed, man. They should have chased both of those games, yeah. That was less than 120 totals,
mm,
I'm disappointed. Like if you talk about disappointment, like Dipendra Airy, right? He was the guy who
yeah,
hit six sixes. Like he
yeah.
did not do anything in that match when they had to chase against South Africa. So he
Mm.
was a disappointment.
But
And I also want to mention Trigger Johnson, that guy from Canada. Like, if he had made an 80 odd
wow,
that day, they could have beaten Pakistan, right? He got out at the very wrong
yeah,
time.
yeah,
But
Aaron
again,
Johnson.
considering it was a New York ground and he scored a 39 ball 50, like, that's very impressive.
Yeah, Pratik, so good that you're mentioning some of the good performances. And like you, a lot of people will take inspiration from US. In future World Cups, they will definitely think that they can also upset the big teams and maybe make a qualification. But what do you think happened? Like, why we saw the minnows performing? Some are saying it was because the pitch neutralized the format and the pitch. Format in the sense it's a T20 game, so you have only 20 overs, and that gives more scope for randomness, and also the pitch, because no one was able to get in actually. So the batsmen of top nations could not actually show their skills on these kind of pitches. What do you think are the main reasons of minnows performing so well in this World Cup?
Yeah, you can say you can attribute to the pitch, because New York pitch certainly brought any two teams closer because of the nature of the pitch. But
Yeah,
again, I think these teams came with very good preparation. Like, Scotland was there till the very last over. Like, they could have also qualified.
yeah,
And even Namibia, in some games, they tried very well. The
yeah.
Trumpelman, there was such a good bowler. So,
Scotland, I think, were very unlucky. Like someone was mentioning, I saw a video from Brad Hogg. Actually, they could have beaten England and they could have beaten Australia. Both of the games, they
yeah.
were ahead against both of these nations. So it's a big, long road. For they came very close, but they have a road ahead of them. I think there are some appeals for giving test status to Scotland also now.
Mm.
So it's interesting how Scotland and Nepal performed in this World Cup was just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The only two teams like who hasn't left a mark, right, is Uganda and PNG. And some
Yeah.
fans were still talking about like how Uganda is playing, not Zimbabwe. I mean, they did beat
Yeah,
Zimbabwe
man.
fair and square to qualify. But yeah, we certainly beat Zimbabwe. That's one team that's
We
not part of the
definitely
20.
missed Zimbabwe. I mean, if they were in that group with Afghanistan and New Zealand, just imagine the chaos in that group if Zimbabwe was also there. So you're totally
Yeah.
right. I also miss them. Uganda didn't leave the impact that they promised. But I have
There
few.
was one fast bowler that was good in Uganda team. He was also featured in ICC's video because he bowled a cracking Yorker to Rutherford. I think his name was
Okay.
Kiwoto. Yeah. So
Wow. Okay.
and
So I have
but yeah, I expected more from PNG. Like Asad Wala, their captain. I thought he will also try to win
yeah.
one of the matches, but
And Sessi
yeah, we
Bao
didn't.
also today was batting at 3 of 20 balls. He's
Yeah.
known as one of the best batsmen of PNG. But someone was actually just saying that PNG needs more support from Australia and New Zealand cricket, and teams who are touring to Australia, like they stop over at Ireland when they tour England. They should stop over at
Hmm.
Papua New Guinea and play some games at Papua New Guinea. So that was one of the
Wow.
ideas shared by the commentator, that Asian teams, especially who are traveling from Asia to
Sri Lanka
Australia.
or India. Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's a very good example because some teams do play similarly with Ireland, right? When they tour England, so they can definitely play like one or two of T20s with PNG, right, to bolster their game. Yeah.
true. Pratik, now we have the Super Eights, and we have Western Hemisphere group and the Eastern Hemisphere group. The reason we are calling it so is that the teams in the Super Eight are all in one of the groups are West Indies, USA, England, and South Africa, all belonging to the western part of the world. Whereas in the other part we have uh, three Asian giants. Actually, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they were unfortunately they are not the giants anymore. It's Afghanistan and Bangladesh who have replaced them. But India is still there, and we have Australia, the tournament favorites. So I have a few slides, Pratik. We'll just have a look at the groups and the fixtures and everything, and we'll just go through. So just wanted to show from the beginning, these are the points table. Of course, United States qualifying, India and United States qualifying, Afghanistan and West Indies qualifying, South Africa and Bangladesh qualifying. So England and Australia qualifying. So no major upsets there in that group. So these are the groups, like we were mentioning. The first group is the Eastern Hemisphere group, and the second group is the Western Hemisphere group. And these are the fixtures, Pratik. Now, these are very interesting fixtures. The whole World Cup is moving to West Indies. We have on 19 June, we are starting off with USA versus South Africa at Vivian Richards Stadium, England versus West Indies, Afghanistan, India, Australia, Bangladesh, England, South Africa, and so on. But I just studied all these venues, Pratik, before we started this session, and I have
Oh,
a
wow.
very interesting observation for you. I think that let's take out the Arnas Vale ground, because there are only two matches at Arnas Vale ground. That's Afghanistan, Australia, and Afghanistan, Bangladesh. So I don't think
Okay.
these matches are going to matter much. Although we know what Australia Afghanistan is going to be. It's a very it
Mhm.
has a recent history that will trigger a lot of
Yeah.
emotions in
I hope
Afghan.
Afghanistanis are fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you come to other venues, so I have studied that Darren Sammy National Cricket Stadium. This is in Saint Lucia, and there is
Mm.
another venue in Barbados, which is the Kensington Oval. Now these
Yeah.
two grounds are actually have been high scoring grounds in this tournament. So these are the only two grounds where a score of 200 plus has been scored. So what I feel is England, who is playing most of their games on these two grounds, and India, they are also playing a lot of their games on these two grounds. They have a distinct advantage, I feel, because they would like to play on normal pitches and not give much scope to the opposition. So I think
Yeah,
India and
we know
England.
for sure England doesn't like slow tracks. I remember they struggled in Lucknow when they had to play against India there in the
Mhm.
ODI World Cup. But remind me again, the Darren Sammy Stadium actually saw a low scoring match, right? That Nepal versus South Africa, or was it not there?
No, the recently Australia versus Scotland was played there, which had
Oh,
both the
yeah, correct,
teams
correct. Yeah,
one
and that was a
scoring.
high scoring game. Yeah, both teams actually, yeah.
And in Barbados, we had Australia versus England, where Australia actually scored 200 plus. Even though there were some low scoring games there also, but overall, it has been all high scoring at Barbados. So these two grounds, we may see those high scoring
Hmm.
games.
I
Vivian
actually wanted India
Richards.
and Afghanistan to be on a tough pitch because then it would make Afghanistan's chances stronger. But yeah, I think India will
Yeah,
be pretty happy to get a
yeah,
good batting track against Afghanistan because that's how they have dominated Afghanistan, right? They play at a run rate which Afghanistan cannot achieve. That has
yeah,
been their and they play so freely. We have seen Indian players not play so freely against other teams.
yeah.
So yeah, very big challenge for Afghanistan to challenge India in a place
And
like
if you see
Brisbane.
England's two of the crunch games versus West Indies
Mm,
and versus South Africa, both are at Darren Sammy Stadium. So
yeah,
definitely there is advantage to England in both these. Although West Indies themselves would love some flat tracks,
yeah.
they would like Nicholas Pooran to get going on those flat tracks. So it's going to be interesting what happens in that. I am really excited for England versus West Indies match first up on 20th
That will
June.
be a cracker because
Yeah.
these teams are like they can be finalist also, right? They're such strong teams, so it
Hmm.
will be a cracking match there.
And just a day
And
after England again come back to take South Africa. So I think these two are the games to look out for. Of course, Afghanistan versus India, you spoke about that.
so England
So
only has 1.5 day gap between their matches. That's interesting.
yes, yes, yes.
And on Sunday, I have already hyping up in my office like England is playing USA. I know that is not a real contest, but in some world that is right in some other parallel world.
Yeah.
So
I mean, USA playing West Indies, the co-hosts, that will be also be a good, interesting match. And USA then
for me,
playing
the most
England.
interesting US game is actually the first one against South Africa because South Africa is coming off some very unconvincing wins. US can definitely target South Africa if they can again destroy their top order, like South Africa's top order has been getting destroyed. They
Hmm.
can actually do a major upset here.
Hmm.
That will
Let's
be
look
their
at
best chance, I guess. Yeah.
South Africa has a lot of games at Vivian Richards Stadium. Now, that is the one stadium which has been up and down. I don't know. You're right. I mean, South Africa could be in trouble. Or we may see England and West Indies come out on top of this group. That's what I'm predicting. I think maybe I'm seeing England and West Indies. That's my, anyway, my pre tournament. prediction also, because I predicted
Oh
India,
yeah, let's
Australia,
talk
and
about
West
that, Shikhar. So my New Zealand prediction has already gone wrong for the semi-finalists.
Indies.
Has any of your prediction gone wrong? What were your
No,
initial
no.
top four?
So my top four was India, Australia, West Indies, and England. So they are
Oh
all
man,
intact.
you
They
are
are all
actually
intact.
right on for so
So
far.
they are all intact now, and I am hoping that West Indies and England go through from this group, and India and Australia go through from the other group. So we'll have the top four. Uh,
Like I would be very surprised if South Africa makes it to the semi-finals, looking at their current form and the challenge ahead. Like I will be very surprised. So yeah, I also now predicting England and West Indies. And for the other group, yeah, I'm still gonna back Afghanistan, man. I'm really hoping this is the time they will show the world stage. So I'm gonna continue my prediction of India not qualifying and Australia, Afghanistan qualifying from the other group.
Australia and Afghanistan qualified. Wow, that's very brave of you, Pratik. And
Yeah,
Sunday night we have actually West Indies versus South Africa match. That's going to be interesting. Actually, Monday morning for Indian fans. That's at Vivian Richards Stadium. I think that game is going to be a decider. Also, what could be the possible deciding games, Pratik, as per you? I think West Indies versus South Africa at the end. Do you
yeah.
think Afghanistan versus Bangladesh could be a decider for Afghanistan if you're predicting Afghanistan to qualify?
I think India, Afghanistan is the decider for me. That it is that one
India,
because
Afghanistan.
yeah, Afghanistan has never beaten India, but they will one day, and this might be the day.
Wow, wow, that's interesting. I'm also looking forward to the Australia Afghanistan game at a low scoring St. Vincent ground.
Yeah, definitely Afghanistan team will be fired up in that game. We know Australia is massively favorites, but it will be fun to see, man. Like if Rashid Khan and Gurbaz, these guys can come to their best game, then anything can happen, especially in a T20 game. So plus there will be a mystery around the ground. I'm sure both Australia and Afghanistan have never played in this venue at this venue. So that gives a good chance to both the teams. Like I remember Australia has played a lot of times in Wankhede, so they know how the nature of that pitch is. But here no one knows about it, right? So this will also add a interesting element.
Yeah, no one knows much. I mean, India has played a lot of games in West Indies in June and July, but I don't think they've played on these particular stadiums much. So
Hmm.
I think even India versus Bangladesh match on 22nd June, that is going to carry a lot of hopes from Bangladesh fans. I think that game could be will be the defining game for Bangladesh campaign, because if Bangladesh can cause an upset, which they did in West Indies in 2007 ODI World Cup, if you
Oh,
yeah, so if they do
yeah.
something special on 22nd June, I think that
So,
Afghanistan versus Bangladesh could well be a decider for Bangladesh. You never know how
so
it
you are
can
saying
start.
that India versus Bangladesh is more an interesting prospect for you than India Afghanistan?
Yes,
Like,
yes. Because India versus Afghanistan, I feel is on a flatter surface. I am
yeah, yeah,
expecting India to go through, but India versus Bangladesh match is actually at a tricky surface. It's in Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, which we are seeing scores of 120 to 150. So I think
yeah.
that could get really interesting. Really, really
I think
interesting.
India has a lot of challenges. Yeah, I mean Afghanistan will also test India, but yeah, now you're mentioning that on a slowish pitch,
But
Bangladesh can be very tricky.
but again,
Especially
if you
Rishad,
see,
man. I don't think any of the Indian batters has faced Rishad yet.
yeah, they have not
So
faced Rishad, but again, maybe Bangladesh batting, I don't know how they will react to Bumrah, or if Kuldeep Yadav plays. I don't know if they will be able to stand up to that quality of bowling from India. So
I
that's
mean, the
going to
Indian batters are also not able to stand to quality bowlers. Like Bangladesh right now has very good pace bowlers and spinners to
yeah.
trouble India. India also got all out against Pakistan. So Indian batting will be tested against Bangladesh for sure.
Of course, we have Tanzim bowling two back-to-back maidens. He's on fire, man. So you never know what
Man,
could.
he's a treat to watch. And Tuskin also, like he's a hot and cold player right now, but Tuskin, if he can get his length right, even he can trouble our openers. And yeah, so
One of the highest scoring games could actually be England versus South Africa. I feel both of these teams have the ability to score
mm,
200 plus. And if the pitch conditions are right, you may see a special from Klaasen or Miller. Last time actually South Africa beat the pulp out of England in ODI World Cup in Mumbai, where we saw
Yeah.
them scoring almost 400 with Klaasen
Mhm.
scoring big. So, do you think England will be able to come back and beat South Africa in this fixture? What do you think about that?
Yeah, England has to settle that score too. Yeah. And I remember one of the T20 World Cups also 2016. I think it was a very batting heavy contest. Like both
Yes.
teams scored 230 or 240.
Yeah, Joe Root
So
scored a brilliant knock, I think, to win
yeah.
England that chase.
So again, we can expect a similar type of contest, like definitely 400 runs on the cards when these two faces. And but for South Africa, Markram has to come good. And I'm also hoping that Jansen will be included back in the side because he's a quality all rounder and he can tong the ball well on the flattish tracks.
Hmm. So let's see how it goes. England versus West Indies. I think a lot of our West Indies friends would be looking forward to that match also. If West Indies can start there, I think they will get the confidence to, beat other opponents in their group and go ahead. So I think that match is
Yeah.
also decided. So I think England versus West Indies, uh, maybe India versus Bangladesh. You are saying India versus Afghanistan. And of last match, Australia, Afghanistan, West Indies, South Africa. I think all these matches are kind of going to be the decider. 4 or 5 games are going to decide these Super 8 fixtures and decide who plays, who goes ahead into playing the semi-finals in Trinidad and Guyana. So that's going to be interesting.
But just like the league stage, anything can happen. We cannot be sure that South Africa won't qualify or Bangladesh or Afghanistan won't qualify. They can totally, especially it's a
Hmm.
T20 format. And we have already seen so many upsets in this World Cup.
And like you said, rain is going to be a major factor. Like a lot of games may be washed out. So you need to pick up those points, 2 points, so that rain
Yeah,
acts
just
as an
imagine like
advantage for you.
Afghanistan India games rains out, and then it will be depending on who beats Bangladesh better. If India
Hmm.
plays a close game with Bangladesh and Afghanistan may be able to trump them easily, then
Hmm.
anything can happen.
And the only way you can make rain to your advantage is when you play other games better. So the +1 actually helps you to go ahead of others. Whereas if you have not played the other games well, the +1 actually keeps you back of at the back end. So yes,
So yeah, if you're
that's
able to bowl the other team out cheaply, then I think there will be a pressure for teams to finish fast. Like they need to play the game fast because the NRR will be so important. Just 3 matches for each team, and if one gets rained out, like wow, this is going to be very complex with the rain element.
okay. So just before leaving, I want to give you an update. Lockie Ferguson has just bowled a spell of 4 overs, 4 maidens, and has picked 3 wickets. So he has bowled the first ever spell of no runs given in the history of T20 cricket. Just
What the
saw,
hell, man? We have
yeah.
seen so many 6 for 4, 7 for 4, but this is unbelievable. And especially coming from Lockie Ferguson, who gets belted in the IPL.
Yeah, but Papua New Guinea players couldn't handle his pace. So,
Wow, man. We have to make a separate video on Lockie Ferguson now. 0 for 3.
so that's it, guys, about the Super 8s and the league stage. Let us know what are your predictions, what are your gut feelings. Would like to know about them. And please, guys, subscribe our channel, follow our channel, watch our videos. Please comment on what you think. Whether you agree to our prediction of my prediction of India, West Indies, England, Australia, or you are going with Pratik's
Even with
prediction of
me on Afghanistan, I want to hear from
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan even.
Australia, England, and West Indies. Is it right? England and West Indies. So
Yeah.
let's see how it happens. We are definitely counting out South Africa, which we should not be doing. They are a great
Yeah.
team. They're a great middle order. They have actually dominated on the tough New York pitches. They've been able to bat well. So you never
Yeah.
know what happens. And the rub of the green is also going their way this time. The luck is on their side. So you never know what could happen. So thanks, Pratik. Thank you for joining,
Yeah.
and let's see you soon again after a few games.
Thanks, Shikhar.